Cześć Polacy, welcome to English with Nick. Dzisiaj będziecie się uczyć słów i zwrotów używanych w naturalnej wymowie. Przedstawiam Wam moją rozmowę z Benem Spinkiem, ekspertem od języka Jèrriais. Jèrriais to brytyjska wyspa, ale jego rodzimy język jest bardziej podobny do francuskiego niż do angielskiego. Dlaczego? Hi, what's your name?
My name's Ben.
Nice to meet you, Ben. What's your job?
So I'm head of service for the Jèrriais teaching service at the education department in Jersey.
Okay. Do you have many students?
Over the last year, we've increased the number of students that we're teaching to over 1,000 students in schools.
Wow.
And that's including adult students as well.
Are they mainly native English speakers?
Probably on the whole, yeah, the majority would be. However, we do have a significant number of children with English as a second language as well. So there are a lot of Portuguese families in Jersey, Polish, Eastern European. So lots of those students are our students as well. And we find actually that those students take to the language really well, particularly Portuguese students, because Portuguese being a Latin language, as is Jèrriais as well, they seem to pick the language up really quite quickly, and they spot similarities between the two languages.
And you said you have some students who are second generation Polish.
Yes.
How do they do?
Great, yes. So again, because they're already bilingual, the idea of adding another language to their repertoire doesn't faze them at all, in perhaps the way it might faze a monolingual English-speaking person.
I know that Jèrriais is close to French, but Jersey is a British island. So what's the history of Jèrriais?
It goes back a long way. So Jèrriais is a cousin of the Norman language, so the language of William the Conqueror. So it goes back over 1,000 years. The fact that Jèrriais has been around for at least as long, if not longer, than English and French that was a revelation to me to discover that. You know, a lot of people, when they hear about Jèrriais, they ask, "Oh, is it like a mishmash of English and French?" And you know, I'm at pains to point out, no, it's been around longer than English and French.
I would like to ask about the other languages in the Channel Isles, like the language of Guernsey.
It's surprisingly different, given the proximity of the islands. That said, a Jèrriais speaker and a Jèrriais speaker would certainly understand each other. But if you look at the way the languages are written, for example, they look very different, and the accent pronunciation is really quite markedly different as well.
In Polish, the Channel Isles is Wyspy normandzkie, which means the Norman Isles. So if you jump across the water to France in Normandy, how similar is the French of Normandy to Jèrriais?
So again, as I said, the Norman language is where Jèrriais comes from, and in that respect, a Norman speaker would understand the Jèrriais speaker. They would be able to converse. The languages are not the same, but they're sufficiently similar again that they would be mutually intelligible. So Normans who visit Jersey are pleasantly surprised to sit and listen to Jèrriais speakers and realise how much they can understand.
Dealing with the modern world is important to keep a language alive, but also it needs native speakers. How many are there?
We estimate now it's probably fewer than 500 native speakers.
Okay, but 500 is far from nothing.
Yeah.
Is it possible it could climb?
We certainly hope so. I mean, I suppose it depends on how you define it. You know, the number of native speakers is not going to increase in a hurry, simply because there's no intergenerational transmission of the language at this moment in time. So it's probably a way off before we can say the number of native speakers of Jèrriais is increasing, but certainly the number of speakers is increasing.
And there's official support for protecting it.
There is, yeah. So there's support from the government. My team of 7 teachers is supported by the government. As I say, we work at the education department in Jersey, and we teach in a number of local schools, and we find schools very supportive.
And I understand that Jèrriais is not in the curriculum, but French probably is.
It is.
Strong competition.
Yeah, quite. And we don't want to compete with French. We certainly don't want to replace French by any means. We see that French is a very important language, you know, France being our nearest neighbour. So we wouldn't want to discourage anybody from learning French. But that said, I think there's a place for both.
Okay, thank you very much for all that interesting information. Finally, I would like to be brave. Can you teach me 1 or 2 words or phrases in Jèrriais?
Okay, so let's start with the basics. So if you want to say hello to somebody, you can say bonjour.
Bonjour.
Magnifique. Or if you just want to say hi, in a similar way to you might say in French, you can say salut.
Salut.
If you want to ask somebody, how are you? In Jèrriais, you'd say comment tu es?
Oh, comment tu es?
Magnifique. And a way to respond to that question would be je suis de charme.
Je sais de charme.
So that means I'm fine. Or you could say, if you're feeling even better than that, je suis magnifique.
Je sais magnifique. Okay, and how do I say thank you very much?
Merci, ben fait.
One more time.
Merci, ben fait.
Merci, ben fait.
Magnifique.
So, Ben, merci, ben fait for your time.
C'est un plaisir. It's a pleasure.